You're listening to episode 301 of the Small and Supercharged podcast with Ria Freeman. Well, hello and welcome to this week's Small and Supercharged podcast. You might be thinking, it's weird, she said she was going to do more interviews last week when we spoke, and you are completely correct. And I have got some amazing ones lined up. I've got a very busy few weeks. But before we get into that, I wanted to just say two things really. One, it's almost like a bit of housekeeping. I didn't realise that we have now published over 300 episodes of the podcast. Actually, when I was listening back to last week's before I uploaded it and did all the faffing, and it said you're listening to episode 300, I kind of thought, yeah, probably should have mentioned that in the podcast. So I wanted to say a huge thank you for every listen, every download, every recommendation, every share, everything. I really just feel like this is very much just the beginning for the podcast, and I've got some really exciting things lined up, some amazing interviews, which I'm so excited to record. I think the first one I'm doing is actually tomorrow, so really exciting stuff. As also a big thank you to Digital Women, as the podcast has been nominated and is a finalist in Podcast of the Year. Now, this is actually an award that this little podcast won a few years ago. So hopefully we can do it again. But honestly, I've looked at the competition. It's pretty strong. Pretty strong, I'm underplaying it. There are some incredible podcasts on this list. So it's great to be a finalist. So a massive thank you for all your support and all your kind words on that. But today's quick episode is all about copyright. And I'll tell you for why. I work with a very talented illustrator. I'm sure you know who she is. She knows who she is. No, she probably doesn't. She's far too modest. She's amazing. But whenever I am on Instagram, Facebook, I regularly see her work pop up. And you might think, well, that's brilliant. You like her. You want to see her work. I do. This work, though, has not been shared by her. No, this work has been stolen. And I'm really fed up with this. And it's not even my work. I mean, gosh, if I try to draw something, no one is sharing that apart from with a hilarious kind of, this is like a before, or just something witty and amusing, because it wouldn't be good. It would be awful. But she does beautiful, very, very distinctive work. And I keep seeing these people pop up, and it drives me mad, and I'll tell you for why. First of all, it is copyright infringement. If you are taking somebody's work, someone's photograph, someone's illustration, and you are posting it as your own, and we're going to cover that, that is not right. That is theft. When I say you're posting it as your own, and this is again something that people seem to think it is a bit of a grey area, and it's actually not. So if I see something I love on Facebook, and I think that's really cool, I want to share that with my audience so they get to see it because it's great. And I go and press the inbuilt share button, and I share that. What that's doing is it's not posting it as my content. I can add my own one-liner to it, but it is posting it as somebody else's content that I'm sharing. So like if I'd received something through the post, I'm saying to someone, look at this, isn't it great? Rather than me taking what they've done, photocopying it, taking their name off it, moving it around, or if it's something that was written, taking their name off it, typing it out, making it look like mine. That's the difference. So if I'm sharing it and saying, look at this, isn't it great? And it links back to the creator, not with a credit from the actual post, that's one thing. And I don't know of anyone who doesn't love that. So just to be super crystal clear, because I've had a few debates with people online about this over the last few weeks, and I will continue to, because when they get a large bill from someone they've stolen work from, I don't want them to be shocked, surprised, or start slating that artist or creator online, because it isn't their fault. And actually, I'm getting quite fired up. Actually, I think we probably need to be doing this more to people. I think everyone can make a mistake, and sometimes it can be difficult to understand. I think on social media, online, it's super, super easy. So if there was somebody at an event who had photographs or pictures on their stand, you wouldn't go up and take one. But online, when people screenshot, when people share. I've seen people post photographs with a huge thing over it saying, do not post this. This is not yours, copyright and the name. And they still do it. So I don't know what disconnect there is, but that there's definitely one. And it's not okay. So you wouldn't go and take something off someone's stand from somebody's shop and have it as yours and then give that to somebody else as an example. You wouldn't do that. But on social media, online, people just think, I'll just screenshot, I'll just share, I'll just do this, I'll just do that. And it's fine. It isn't. It is still their work. What I had this week is I saw this particular person's piece of work pop up on Instagram. And I don't know why I didn't have, maybe I had enough sleep. And I thought, not today, sunshine. So I just put a comment below, just saying, please do not steal other people's work. This is, name of person, tagged them's work. This is stolen. At which point some delight commented back and said, it's been credited, can't you see? Or something like that. And I thought, lovely. And I said, the credit doesn't matter. If they haven't had permission to do it, it doesn't matter. And this is really important. If you are wanting to share someone's work and you are wanting to post it on your account, so therefore it is looking like you are that's where the content originates from, you need permission to do that, proper written permission. You may have to pay to do it. So as an example with photographers, if someone's taken a photograph of you, let's say, you're at a competition, you're at an event, whatever kind of show it is, and someone's put up all their photographs and they've said, which of these would you like? And you've picked one. What you'll probably find is there are different levels of payment depending on what you want to do with that image. So if you want to print it off, if you want to use it on social media, if you want to use it for commercial purposes, so advertising, there will be different amounts of money required and different rules to do with each of them. You need to look at this. Now, what it might be is if you have bought something and actually that person is happy with you sharing it, that there are different ways, but you need to reach out to the creator of that content and ask them if they are happy that you share it and you post it onto your grid, onto your feed as a standalone post. What most people will say is no. If it is that this is their work, they're a photographer, they are a creator, an artist, an illustrator. Now, what I have done lots and lots of times, if I've written an article for somebody, if I have, with user-generated content, for example, if you are a brand that uses user-generated content, just because somebody has tagged you and used your hashtag, that doesn't give you permission to take their work and use it as your own. You need to get permission from them to do it. And I don't think this implied permission is okay, because I've had my work stolen before like that and I was absolutely furious. And actually, it genuinely made me think a lot less of the brand because they hadn't done it correctly. I know of brands that have had content tagged with themselves in, they have then posted it as their own and they've got a huge bill from a photographer. It does happen. I know of it happening. I've seen it happen. You can have a bill from the photographer when you have stolen their work. So please don't do it. If you're not sure, ask. That's like the golden rule of life. If you're not sure, ask. If somebody does challenge you over it and you know you're wrong, just apologise. Don't attack them. Crediting somebody is not okay without permission. Like, it doesn't make up for the fact you haven't asked. Now, if they have said yes, then absolutely credit them, but you need to have that in writing first. I've seen images where watermarks have been cut off. That's why you'll probably see more and more images and illustrations online where the watermark, to be honest, is in quite an obnoxious place in the middle of the image. And that's because so many people have had their watermarks that have been more subtle cut off. People must know it's wrong. So, please, 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 if you are looking online on social media, on the internet, and you see an image, a photograph, someone else's work that you love, and you think, I would like to share this as my own. Well, first of all, why are you thinking that? Because actually, if you love it so much and your whole objective is to share it with the world so they see it, use the share button. Use the share functionality. The artist gets the relevant, say, credit, but it actually goes back to their piece of work. So anything on that goes to them. But if you see something that you like, don't just think, oh, well, it's on the internet, it's fair game. It's not fair game. You need to ask. You need to ask for permission to do exactly what you want to do with it. And if they say no, that's fine. You don't do it. If they say yes with payment and you don't want to pay them, that's fine. You don't do it. And what you'll sometimes find, and I've been really lucky with lots of fab people I've worked for, particularly if I'm using, or if a client or an organisation or something is looking to use some of their content in a slightly different way to what they originally intended, they'll say yes, but they'll ask for credits or they'll ask for this, and this. Absolutely great. But you've got to ask permission. You can't assume. It's not okay. It's not right. It is incredibly galling for people that have put all the work in. And with some things, so for example, if you were a creator and you were part of a kind of monetization scheme and someone's stolen your work and they're getting views, likes, engagement that's generating them income from your work, I mean, can you imagine how annoying that would be? It's theft anyway, but then they're actually taking income away from you. It's not okay. And I do think an important part, and something that we do need to do, is we need to go, I try and do this. The first thing is I try and educate. So the first thing I'll say is, please don't steal other people's work. Or, I don't go in really hard. I go in with a kind of, not everybody knows this, but it's not okay. I think more people need to do that. If you are an artist, a photographer, a creator, an illustrator, anyone that's having your work stolen, I think the first point needs to be education, because not everybody knows everything about everything in the world. I certainly don't. And if we go in with education to start with, hopefully what will happen is we won't get a combative response. We'll get someone that goes, right, I didn't understand that. I didn't know that. Tell me everything you know. And then they can potentially be a really good force for good and educate others as well. However, I do also think if that doesn't work, it is important to push the point, because as with so many things on social media, people don't seem to think, or online even, people don't seem to think it counts in real life, and it does. And the way to illustrate this point more is to show that it counts in real life. So people who do create these amazing things, the photographs, the illustrations, please don't be afraid to stand up for your work. It's your livelihood. You're not doing it for a laugh. And if you are doing it for a laugh, why shouldn't you get the credit for it? Like the proper credit for it. It's your work. If you want to develop a brand further from it, if you want to, I don't know, make products, if you want to do things for other people, and no one's actually quite sure who the work came from, even if it's amazing, you're never going to get the credit and you're not going to be able to develop that. If it's bringing joy to others, and because of the theft part of it, is bringing no joy to you, and actually what's the point anyway, then everyone's doing worse from that because somebody decided to steal it. So it's really, really important. It's an area I think we all need to be aware of, or we definitely all need to be aware of. And when we see it, I think we can call it out kindly. We can perhaps send a direct message. We can do something that isn't quite perhaps as confrontational of please don't steal other people's work. But we do need to call it out. If we go in with kindness initially, with a let's assume you don't understand, I think that is a much better way to go for creating the kind of change that is needed and is wanted. So yeah, copyright. If you're not sure, ask. There's loads of good resources online. There's even, where's that gone? And there's even, the government's definition. Here we go. the government have got a copyright notices. They have got information online. There is no excuse not to find out more about it. If you just Google, can I use someone else's photos on my website, or can I use someone else's this as my this, you will get lots and lots of information about it. There is no reason not to educate yourselves. You can find about anything online, but go to those reputable sources that show you how to do it properly. I think we have to kind of go and believe that most people try and do the right thing. They just don't know. But to summarise, a credit isn't enough. Cutting off someone's watermark, not good. You need to get proper permission to use anyone's work, anyone's images, any photographs, anyone's illustrations, anyone's work. If you're not sure, ask. And this also applies to amateurs. This applies to people who have shared stuff on Instagram that you like. They don't have to be somebody that does this professionally for it to still count. It still counts. And it's just rude. Yes, it's breaking. It is a copyright infringement. It is a proper situation. But also, it's really bad form. It's really rude. You're not going to make good relationships from theft. I hope that's been useful. I hope it's given you a bit of food for thought perhaps, and just made you think about things slightly differently. If you've messed up before, everyone makes mistakes, but learn from it. Go back and do the right thing. Remove stuff. Speak to people. But definitely going forward, make sure you do the right thing. Get that permission. If you don't get it, game over. You're not doing it. You don't want to get in trouble for this. And it's just incredibly disrespectful to the incredible, talented people out there who make things for us all to enjoy. I will catch you next week on the podcast. We've got interviews. So good. If you have got a couple of minutes and fancy rating and reviewing the podcast, I would be eternally grateful. So hop on over to any platform you listen to. You can leave us a lovely rating, hopefully, and an even lovelier review, and I would be forever grateful. Take care and speak to you soon.